Hi there, and welcome to part 3 in this video tutorial series on Tidal cycles, the live coding language. If you haven't seen the previous videos, then I highly recommend going back and watching them first, because this is sort of building on techniques that we've already covered. So initially, let's just test, make sure we're making sounds. So let's load up a bass drum. Yep, that's working. So what we covered before is sort of basic patterns, and for the sake of argument I'm going to use tabla 2 now, and I'm going to create a pattern of sorts, and I'm also going to use, we're going to use tabla and tabla 2, and I'm going to make a reasonably simple pattern of a few sounds. There's a couple of samples I had initially that were a bit longer than I intended. So now we're looking into some manipulations we can apply to this. Now I'm going to take the whole pattern. Now this isn't actually, I'm going to do it a slightly different way. The first manipulation that I want to cover is a way to change the speed of the playback. So if you listen to this pattern, I can say I quite like it, but it's a little bit too fast, it's a little bit too dense sounding, and if I don't want to necessarily change the cycles per second, if I don't want to change that, say I've got another sound already running, it's already going at a certain rate that I quite like, I don't necessarily want to change the cycles per second, so I want to change just the rate of playback for this line itself. So the way to do that would be to add something to the start of it before we get to sound. So if we put another $sign, then the word slow, then whichever number we put after it, say slow 4, what it's going to do is it's going to take this pattern and slow it down 4 times. So it's going to take, instead of 1 cycle to get from beginning to end, it's going to take 4 cycles to get from beginning to end. But all the rhythmic content of it is still going to remain the same. So we'll play this back. Or I can take this to an extreme and do like slow 40, and you're very rarely going to hear the sound because it's taken a lot of time to come around. So let's go back to slow 4. The other thing you can do obviously is as well as, now it's automatically at slow 1, but if you were to take this into very, very low number, lower than 1, say 0.5, what it's going to do is it's going to play this entire thing twice per cycle. And this is essentially a sort of shorthand way of doing bracketing off the whole thing and dividing it by 4, or timesing it by 2, or obviously timesing it by 0.25, or dividing it by 0.25. This is sort of shorter way of doing that, and it keeps the speed at which you're playing back over it separate from the actual pattern itself. And it means you can, as well as one other thing you can do with this is you can alter this in very, very minute ways. So say we have slow 2, we can also do slow 2.000000001. You can run effects like that, which will change it very, very slightly. And if you were to run, say, 2.01 alongside a 2.02 on 2 different tracks, you can hear it's basically the exact same pattern, but there's a slight gap between them, and the gap is increasing every iteration. very slightly. If we increase that to say 2.22. Then if we did say 2.5. So you can create sort of polyrhythmic stuff over over, you know, either nice ratios, numbers like 2 and 2.5, or between some really small sort of phasing numbers such as 2 and 2.01 or 0.001 or however many zeros you want to make it. So there's that. The other one that comes paired alongside slow is one called density, but it's basically the exact opposite. So density 2 is the exact same as doing slow 0.5. And slow 2 is the exact same as doing density 0.5. So you can pick and choose. It depends entirely on you. Both are acceptable. Both will create essentially the same effect. It depends on whatever you want to use. The other effects we're going to use, as well as I'm going to have this running under slow 2, just because it makes it sound a bit clearer, is I'm going to add a third element to it. I'm going to add RP2, RP3 times 2. So we get that, and that way we've got 3 elements to this sound that's in itself. Everything's being slowed down by 2. But that's just the actual pattern speed. The sample speeds are still the exact same. But the other thing we can do is we can reverse this pattern by having the word rev and putting the pattern in brackets as such. So that there is taking this entire pattern, and instead of playing it from left to right, essentially playing it from right to left. And as well as having reversed patterns, you can also have it reversed every however many time, which is another effect. It's a very handy one called every. So if we put every here, let's put rev in, we need to put rev into brackets for this one. But if we say want it to happen every 10th time, we do every 10. So if we run that, and this sort of what's the term for it? The specificity of doing it every however many time can be applied at any level. It can be applied to any sound, can be applied to any effect. So I'd keep that and keep that reversed and slow and density. Keep them in mind because these can be applied to pretty much everything later on. But let's go into some effects now. Now, there's a few different ways people do this. A few people, I mean, I've seen people who do this all on the one line. I personally quite like to do it on line below. I think it looks a bit nicer. But whichever one you want to do, feel free. It doesn't really make that much difference. But if you're going to do it on line below, you need to make sure you've pressed tab and indented it, or else it's going to give you some syntax error. It's not going to like it, and it's going to shout at you. So if the most simple one to do is gain, which is essentially your volume control. So if I put hash gain, then whatever I put here in these inverted commas will be the gain. That's automatically set to 1. But I can change this to sort of 0.5 and sort of manual fade out. But you can also go up as well. You can painful if you go too loud. One thing I will warn about, and this is something that has happened, not to myself of course, I don't make this sort of mistake completely, might be a lie, is say if you're altering the gain, so it's 0.6 and you want to go to 0.7, yeah, in the context of performance, you must be very, very careful you put in, when you press delete, you don't press delete twice, and then when it's 0.7. Because there's a very, very big difference between gain 0.7 and gain 0.7. Learned that one the hard way, but just watch out for that one. The other one I think I want to point out is, so if it runs at gain 0.4, there's a significant difference between that and say gain 1. So you have to be very careful with how you mix your sounds through gain. And the other thing as well with gain is that you can, instead of just applying just a regular number to it, you can apply a pattern. So here we go. This whole thing is split into 3. So if I give 3 numbers, say I give 0.4, 0.8, 0.5. So it's taken. So the cycle for the sound cycle is actually being split into 3 parts. Split into this part, this part, and this part. And the gain is taking up this whole line here is taking up the same duration of the cycle. It's taking up a full cycle, and again it's split into 3 units. So effectively it'll map it thusly that gain 0.4 will be applied to the first unit, 0.8 to this unit, and gain 0.5 to this unit. So it should play these two a bit quieter than this one. So if I run that, so you have those 3 notes a bit louder than anything else. If I do it a different way, if I do it 0.8 at the end, you should hear the RP much louder. And as well as just running regular sequence of numbers like that, you can also apply any transformation that you can think of to as before. You can multiply it by 2 or 4 or you can apply any of these transformations, and you can have the patterns as long and as complicated as you want. As well, you can also have the patterns polyrhythm with each other, I believe. But that's so gain is. I mean, this isn't necessarily the most applicable thing to gain as an effect, but you can apply. Basically, what I'm trying to demonstrate is that just because it's an effect doesn't mean you need to apply a single value. You can apply any string, any pattern of values to it, and it'll run through that. Other effects that are particularly useful are speed. Speed is one I use a lot. So if I'm just kind of running it anyway. So this is getting louder over 5 cycles and going back to quiet. And go back to quiet, there you go. So if I run speed 0.5. Now here's where we start actually messing about with the actual sample itself. We're starting to play back the sample, in this case at half the speed. So this means the sample will take twice the duration to play through, and it will also play at half the pitch, same as if we run at 2 is twice the pitch. But this doesn't affect the pattern. This doesn't affect the rate at which it's going through the pattern. It's just affecting the actual sample itself. And again, like everything else here, it's going to just slowly go through all of this. So it starts off playing all the samples at 0.2 and gradually plays them faster and faster. And you can apply various effects to these. You can apply every reverse, you can apply slow, pretty much anything we've done before. So I think, I don't remember how you do this, but if we do slow 2, I think we bracket this off. I might be wrong with this actually. No, slow 2. Yeah, sorry, the whole thing needs to be in the brackets. Like that. So we can affect the slow. And this is then affecting this pattern much in the same way as slow there is affecting that pattern. We can do slow 20. And it's going to take 20 times as long to get through this pattern. So that's slow. Other ones that we can use are, there's also pan, which if we set it to 0, it's purely come out left channel, and 1 is purely come out the right channel. It's automatically set to 0.5, which is somewhere in the middle, but you can also sequence this. Or you can have any number in between, or you can mess about with that. We'll see what 0.5 for now. You've got shape, which is a sort of amplifier, which is automatically set to 0, I believe. But as we build it up, sort of amplifies the sound a bit. There are various effects from that. It was all about to 1, although I probably wouldn't put it on 1 itself. I would probably leave it up close to 1, but not to 1 itself. And another interesting one actually is vowel. Oh, there we go, so speed back down again. And vowel applies vowel forming filters, so what you sort of do with your mouth. And it applies that to the sound, so apply A. So it's, for example, like an A, then you E. I. O. U. Or we can also tell that, which essentially is playing nothing. But you can also sequence this, and this is, I find this one quite interesting because it's not taking a number as a value, it's taking letters, it's taking vowel sounds. I find it quite interesting to play about with. Now the one other one I want to mention is, as well as speed applying this way, we can also reverse speed. So if we reverse, if we make these all negative numbers, it reverses the samples, which is particularly fun to do. So there we go. So that's another thing I would take into consideration. Is another one we can do. I'm going to simplify the speed pattern down a bit. I'm going to simplify the speed pattern down to just regular series numbers. I'm going to make it 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. What we can do as well is we can, if we have a second set, say 2.53, as a sort of polyrhythm, what it's doing is actually is applying both these patterns simultaneously, and you're actually playing back two separate versions. It's actually playing two separate versions of this pattern. One using the speeds 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and the other one using speeds 2, 2.5, and 3. And you can apply this sort of polyrhythm sort of layering to any of these patterns as well. And the one last one I want to talk about is, as well as changing the speeds in this way, which is more changing them in regards to the playback speed. Let's say I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here. Pan 0.5 standard. I'm just going to get rid of these. So say we've got this. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of everything apart from RP, just to keep it simple. What we can do as well is that we can apply this one last one for today, called up, which I'll show you what this does. It should speak for itself. Oops, I know what that is. I'm just going to make this actually a bit simpler. RP slow 0.2. Sorry, I just realised what I've been doing. I've been an idiot. Ignore me. Divide by 13. That's 3 out of 15. Ignore me being an idiot there. What up is doing is, this is going more sort of traditional musical way. It's more thinking in traditional pitches as opposed to frequencies. And what this is doing is it's mapping it to a sort of chromatic scale. So if we use this up function, we can then change it. We can change the pitch of these. We can change the pitch of the sound in relation to itself on a chromatic scale, and we can do various patterns with that. Say we want to just do 0, 3, 6. Say we want to just play that sort of arpeggio, we can divide by 3. And we can create various arpeggios, various scales, and we can think more along the lines of a sort of traditional musical sense. Although that's, whether you want to think along that way, is entirely up to you. Anyway, that should be enough effects for you to sort of have a playback for now. The next video we're going to be talking a bit more about slightly more advanced different patterns and some other patterns for affecting both the samples and the effects that we're applying to the samples. Cheers.